Morning, Zoo. How's you? Top of the morning?
Top of the morning. I'm good. I'm having a good morning today. I just bought myself some food so that after here I will eat.
Well, we'll talk about what's on your plate and what's in your shopping basket. But I see we've changed the title of this show.
Yes, we have.
I imagine the broken body's been fixed.
The broken body has been fixed and now we are handling it as the health check.
Well, for those who are checking into the health check, we were talking in January about all the things that you shouldn't be doing in terms of your intentions and your resolutions. And we're talking today about some of the consequences of what happens if you lead a particularly poor lifestyle. And the first and top of the list is diabetes. Now, diabetes, is one of those things. It's like most lifestyle diseases do. It's very chronic. It's very insidious.
Yes.
It basically means that, you don't know you've got it until it's really bad. And the continent of Africa is one of the most rapidly rising places where diabetes is frequented. And then just to give you some statistics, the World Health Organization estimates that currently there are almost 500 million people living with diabetes. And this is a tremendous issue in terms of, if you think about it in context of, let's say, HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
17 to 20 million people on the planet live with HIV and AIDS compared to 500 million people. So this is an enormous debt that we're going to be paying to our bodies. And you punish your bodies, it will tell you. And first of all, diabetes is a chronic, long-lasting condition that affects how your body turns food into energy. Most of the food you eat is broken down into sugar, which we as doctors call glucose, and this is released into your bloodstream. When the sugar goes up, it signals a particular organ in your body to release a chemical called insulin. And the diabetes we're talking about today, Zoo, is the diabetes that mainly occurs in adults. We used to call it type 2 diabetes or adult onset, but now we're seeing more and more children with this condition because children are also being affected by the number one cause of diabetes, and that is, we talked about it last week, it's obesity. Okay. It is the main cause of people who are inactive in terms of lifestyle and probably accounts for about 95% of diabetes in our country. Type 1 diabetes is one that occurs in childhood, results in a lot of weight loss, and they don't have any insulin. The body doesn't produce any insulin at all. Type 2 diabetes, where you have it in adults, where you've just been consuming so much crappy, junky food that you put your pancreas, which is the organ that manufactures insulin, under so much distress that it actually burns out, and the insulin becomes less and less sensitive. It's like something, you use a painkiller too often, your body becomes sensitive and you need more and more of a painkiller. The same with insulin. If you stress the body with all this starchy food we talked about, the boroto and the palechi and the rice, I've gone over this ad nauseam, which basically means till I'm actually vomiting. People don't want to listen to it, but they still I see people, hanging around these, what do you call them, drive-in KFCs and things. I mean, this is just terrible for our nation. And we've already started getting questions before I've even started the program. And let me answer them, because some of them include some things.
Of course.
Somebody said, what are the signs of diabetes, Naka? Well, the signs of diabetes are, I must say, before I actually answer this question, we estimate as doctors that by the time a patient presents to the doctor with definite diabetes, they've been living with diabetes for approximately 15 years. So it's huge. It's actually starts really. So they tend to pee a lot, particularly at night. They get very thirsty. They lose weight without trying. They're often very hungry. They get blurred vision. They get this bohatsu, this numbness in the hands and the feet.
Yes.
Shishi, you get this cramping. You feel very tired. The skin becomes very dry. These are all signs that the sugar is actually beginning to make your body into treacle. Why do you get very hungry? Because what happens, Zoo, is insulin is the key that opens the cell to allow the glucose in. Now, if insulin is not there, the sugar just circulates in the blood, which is why we measure it, and then we look in the blood and we say, because we're measuring the sugar in the blood. It's not getting into the cells. So the cells are thirsty whilst there's lots of water running around, for want of a better word. And this is the issue of diabetes.
Definitely. What are the risks, Dr. Bhagat? Because I hear a lot of clogging and stuff like that, and I'm just getting scared.
You name it, Zoo. They're just everything on the planet can be affected by sugar. Sugar is the most toxic compound that we consume. And we are a nation of sugar. I mean, people, reach for the sugar container before they've tasted the tea, just like they reach for the salt container. It causes everything. From the top to the bottom, it causes dementia and Alzheimer's. It causes blindness. Commonest cause of blindness worldwide, and Botswana is no exception, is actually diabetes-induced cataract. It causes, it blocks all the nerve transmission, so you can't actually feel, which is the reason reason why the biggest cause of amputation in the country is not road traffic accidents, is diabetic ulcers, which actually then go gangrenous. Because if you walking on a thorn or a glass, normally you pricked yourself. With diabetics, they can't feel, so they don't inspect their feet, and before they know it, they come to the doctor and there's a huge gaping ulcer which has become so infected we actually have to cut the leg off. So amputation. Then it causes sugar on the heart and causes heart failure, heart attack. It causes sugar to go up into the arteries, so you get stroke. It causes sugar to block the kidneys and it causes kidney failure. It causes sugar to sit in the liver and you get liver, non-alcoholic liver cirrhosis. I mean, you name it.
My goodness, that sounds like a lot.
It's a lot, and the thing with type 2 diabetes is it is curable. It is curable because if you change the way you eat, a lot of patients can actually come off the pills that they're taking and the injections that they're taking. And of course, Big Pharma, being what it is, has capitalized on the fact that many people don't want to change their lifestyle, so there are lots and lots of drugs on the market, which are used, and we need to use them initially. But if you change what's in your shopping basket in terms of the foods that you eat, it's the first thing you can do. And somebody's asked, who's at risk? If you come from a big family, usually that big family is because people in that family just don't eat well and they pass those habits to their children. It's not because there's a genetic risk of being overweight. A lot of people say, like my mother is big. Mom is big because she ate the wrong food and she's eating the wrong food. So look in the shopping basket. You shouldn't be putting all the things we talked about in terms of convenience foods, processed meats, microwave stuff, fresh chips,
even these cereals with a lot of sugar, Dr. B.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, people, even our old grannies eating lots of bohobe. If you measure the sugar after a plate of bohobe, the sugar has simply spiked because you're eating sorghum, which is processed, so they've removed all the fiber. It's not just that ground sorghum. It's actually been processed just like palechi. So you're spiking the sugar. And people who eat oats and bran and cornflakes and Weetabix, this is pure processed flour, and you'll see that the sugar spikes. So you've got to stay away from this stuff. You've got to make sure. And of course, because it takes 12, 13, 14 years to build up. Most people present to us, in their late 30s, early 40s. But if we go back, they started having symptoms in their 20s. So this is really important to make sure that people listen to. And somebody's asked here, what are the risk factors? We talked about those: overweight, age over 45, family history of diabetes. We know, unfortunately, diabetes and heart disease, which we're going to talk about next week, have a fateful alliance. If you are diabetic, there's probably an 80% chance that you're going to develop heart disease. If you have heart disease, there's probably a 50% chance that you're going to be diabetic, because most diabetics do, and most hypertensives are overweight. You look at your waist circumference and measure that waist circumference, and believe it or not, if your waist circumference as a woman is more than 80 centimeters and more than 90 centimeters as a man, you are in trouble. So go and measure your, we try and teach our medical students that a stethoscope and a tape measure should be shown to the patient to show them that a stethoscope and the tape measure are as important tools to measure your risk. So it's really easy to measure risk. Somebody's asked, is bananas good for diabetes? Bananas are safe and a nutritious fruit, but remember, fruit is a dessert and should be like a dessert. Don't do fruit salads. Have one fruit a day, and the smaller the fruit, the better. If you're going to do a smoothie, for heaven's sake, don't do a fruit smoothie. Do a vegetable smoothie. These are important issues. Somebody's asked, do eggs cause diabetes? The data suggests that egg consumption is not associated with type 2 diabetes, because eggs contain protein and fat, and you can eat a lot of fat and a lot of protein and you don't become diabetic. So that's important. Somebody's asked, what carb is the healthiest? Well, we live in Botswana, and the carbs that are healthiest are things that, remember, you can get your sugar and your starches from vegetables and things like legumes, whole grains, quinoa, wheat, lebelebele, korong, these are things that grow in mosuklani, katlawani, all this stuff is very good for you. So those are the best ones. Somebody asked, is bread worse than sugar? No, they're pretty much the same. There's so much sugar in bread, and there's so much sugar in all types of bread. People say, like, I'm eating brown bread. Brown, green, orange, pink. Boroto is boroto. It's just an issue that people need to be aware of. And people asking lots of things. Is honey good for diabetes? No. Honey is a sugar. It's a natural sugar. and it's the same stuff. So whatever is sweet, stay away from it. It's really not good for you. Somebody's asked potatoes. We can't get them in Botswana at the moment, but potato is good for you. Eating too many potatoes can present problems because potatoes contain a rich source of sugar besides vitamins and minerals. If you eat too much of potatoes, they're not good for you. So that's what I want to say there. We've got about 28 questions. But
yes, I also have a question here for you. It says, "Hi doc, the doctor told me that my sugar level is a bit above the normal. I have stopped taking sugar. I used to take too much and now I take water, but I still eat bread and palachi. What can I do?" And then she says, "I stopped taking all fizzy drinks and juices. Help, please. My mother and aunts all have sugar," which is the same thing you've been saying. It's just cutting it out and finding alternatives.
The thing, Zoo, that most people don't appreciate is it's not only the sugar you put in your tea, it's the sugar that is hidden in the bread, in the Weetabix, in the oats, in the bran, in the cornflakes, in your magrinya and papata and all that stuff. It's in the palachi. So, people don't realize that you can cut your fizzy drinks and your fruit juice, which is excellent, and cut your sugar out. But cut all those, really processed starches. I always say, and we said it before, that if it's in a box, don't eat it. If it comes from the soil, eat it, because eat what man made. Don't eat what man made, eat what God made.
So, we do have a minute now, and what I wanted to know is there a way we can cure diabetes, and are there any pills in Botswana that people can start taking to assist them?
Well, the first thing I said to most of my newly diagnosed adult diabetics or type 2 diabetics is that you can cure it provided you are disciplined. And consistency is the only currency. You consistently have to eat well. You can't do this, intermittent fasting for a day or a week. You can't do, a cabbage diet for a week. You need to make sure you gradually cut out the things that you shouldn't be eating. So that part of your lifestyle is simply that.
Exactly.
You don't eat those things. You can have a cheat day because everybody's cheating and everybody's a human. But make sure that consistently you are eating the right things and you're shopping the right things. Supermarkets are very clever, Zoo. What's at the counter? It's all the sweets and the chocolates.
I know.
When you finish shopping, you're tired, and your reserve is down, and so they catch you there where you just put a chocolate bar in your shopping basket. Don't do that stuff. So eat healthy, eat consistently, and you can reverse it. If there's a family history of diabetes, then your genes are loaded. We can't change your genes, but we can change the way your genes operate. And in other words, the environment in which you are eating.
Definitely. So, Dr. Bhagat, before I let you go, where can the listener find you? Because I know there are some listeners who always ask me where they can directly go and ask you these questions. So please leave your details and then I can let you go.
The details are always the same. It's my Facebook page, which is either... actually, the Heart Foundation of Botswana is the best one because we get lots of questions there, lots and lots of questions, some really strange questions. So go to the Facebook page of the Heart Foundation of Botswana, and we'll friend you, and you can and the world's your oyster. There's lots of things there for you to read.
Perfect. I enjoyed this one, and I can't wait for more of these. Dr. B, have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
All right.